Welcome to my channel. Let me ask you one simple question. What if I tell you that I improved my English without speaking from day one, without memorizing hundreds of grammar rules, and without studying for hours every day? It sounds impossible, but this is exactly what happened. I was once confused, frustrated, and stuck just like many beginners. I tried everything: grammar books, vocabulary lists, long study sessions, but nothing worked. I felt like I was moving, but not improving. Then something small changed everything. Not a big course, not a secret trick, just one simple daily habit. A habit so easy that most people ignore it. But this small habit slowly changed how I think, how I understand, and how I use English. In this video, I will share my real journey step by step. I will show you what I did wrong, what I changed, and how you can do the same. This is not a fast method. This is a real method. A simple method that works for beginners. So stay with me till the end, because what you learn today can completely change your English journey forever. Chapter 1. I want to start this chapter with a simple truth. Many people start learning English with big dreams, but after some time, those dreams become confusion. They feel excited in the beginning, but slowly that excitement turns into frustration. If you feel like this, you are not alone. I was exactly the same. I remember the day I decided that I will learn English seriously. I was very motivated. I told myself that now my life will change. I made a plan, a big plan. I bought grammar books. I saved long vocabulary lists. I watched many videos. I thought this is how success looks. I thought the more I study, the faster I improve. But I was wrong. At the beginning, everything felt good. I was busy. I was studying every day. But after some time, something strange started happening. I was learning, but I was not improving. I was reading grammar rules, but I could not use them. I was memorizing words, but I was forgetting them. I was watching videos, but I was not understanding much. This created a very heavy feeling inside me, a feeling that I am doing everything, but still nothing is changing. And then came the biggest problem: fear. Fear slowly entered my mind. Fear of making mistakes. Fear of speaking wrong English. Fear of people judging me. Because of this fear, I stopped trying. Even when I had a chance to speak, I stayed silent. I told myself I am not ready. I need more grammar. I need more vocabulary. I need more time. But the truth was very simple. I was hiding behind preparation. I was not learning English. I was avoiding English. I remember one moment very clearly. One day I opened my grammar book. There were many rules, long explanations, difficult examples. My mind became tired in just a few minutes. I tried to focus, but I could not. I closed the book and just sat there quietly. That moment changed something inside me. For the first time, I asked myself an honest question. Why does learning English feel so difficult? Why does it feel like pressure, like stress, like a burden? And then I understood something very important. English was not the problem. My way of learning was the problem. I was trying to learn everything at once. I was trying to be perfect from the beginning. I was trying to control every mistake. And because of this, I was not allowing myself to learn naturally. Many beginners make this same mistake. They think they must understand every word. They think they must speak perfect sentences. They think mistakes are bad. But this thinking creates pressure, and pressure blocks learning. When your mind is full of fear, it cannot learn freely. It cannot enjoy the process. And without enjoyment, learning becomes very slow. There was another problem in my journey. I was not consistent. Some days I studied for hours. Other days I did nothing. I was moving fast, then stopping completely. This is like trying to build something and breaking it again and again. My brain never got enough time to connect with English. I was starting again and again, but never continuing. I also compared myself with others. I saw people speaking English confidently. I saw people understanding quickly. I thought they are special. I thought maybe I am not good enough. This thought slowly damaged my confidence. And when confidence goes down, progress also goes down. But then something very small happened. Not a big success, not a big achievement, just a small moment. One day, instead of opening a grammar book, I opened a very simple English story. The sentences were easy, the words were familiar, and for the first time, I felt something different. I felt calm. I felt relaxed. I was not afraid. I was not thinking about rules. I was just reading. I did not understand everything, but I understood enough, and that was enough to continue. Page by page, I kept reading. Slowly, I started enjoying it. This was a new feeling, a feeling I never had before while learning English. There was no pressure, no stress, just simple understanding. That small moment became a turning point. I realized something powerful. Learning English does not have to feel heavy. It does not have to feel like a struggle. It can be simple. It can be slow. It can be natural. From that day, I stopped chasing perfection. I stopped trying to learn everything in one day. I decided to do one simple thing. Just spend a little time with English every day. No pressure, no fear, just consistency. And this is where my real journey started. Not with a big plan, not with difficult books, but with a simple step. So in this chapter, I want you to remember one important thing. If you feel stuck, it is not because you are weak. It is not because English is too hard. It is because your method is making it hard. Change your method, and everything starts changing slowly. In the next chapter, I will show you the exact habit that changed everything for me. It was very small, very simple, but very powerful. And once I started doing it every day, my English started improving without stress, without fear, and without confusion. Chapter 2. In the previous chapter, I shared how I was feeling stuck, confused, and tired of trying so many things without results. Now in this chapter, I want to tell you about the moment everything started changing. Not because I became smarter, not because I found a secret course, but because I made one small decision. A very simple decision that looked almost too easy to work. I decided to stop doing many things and focus on just one thing, just one habit. Spending a little time with English every single day. That is it. No pressure, no big plan, just daily contact with the language. At first, this idea did not feel powerful. In fact, it felt too simple. I even doubted it. I asked myself, can something this small really make a difference? But I also knew one thing. My old way was not working. So I gave this simple habit a chance. On the first day, I sat down with a very simple English text. Not a difficult book, not a grammar lesson, just a small, easy story. I told myself I will only spend 20 to 30 minutes, not more. I started reading slowly, very slowly. Sometimes I stopped. Sometimes I read the same sentence again. Sometimes I did not understand everything. But I did not stop. That day, nothing magical happened. I did not suddenly become fluent. I did not feel like an expert. But I completed my 30 minutes. And that was important. Very important. On the second day, I did the same thing. Again, simple reading. Again, slow. Again, with some confusion. But something was different. It felt a little easier to start. On the third day, I noticed something small. I recognized a few words faster. Words that I saw the day before. This made me feel good. Not excited, just quietly happy. This is how the change started. Not with a big result, but with small signals. Small improvements that are easy to miss if you are not paying attention. After 1 week, something interesting happened. I was still reading slowly, but I was stopping less. I was understanding more sentences without translating every word. My brain was becoming a little more comfortable with English. It was like my mind was slowly opening a new door. This is something many learners do not understand. Learning does not always feel strong. It often feels silent. It feels slow. But inside your brain, many things are happening. When you read every day, your brain starts noticing patterns. At first, everything looks new. But after a few days, your brain says, I have seen this before. This word is familiar. This sentence looks similar. This is how learning becomes natural. I want to share one moment that I will never forget. One day, I was reading a simple paragraph, and suddenly I understood it without translating in my mind. It was not perfect, but it was direct understanding. For a few seconds, I forgot that I was reading English. I was just understanding the message. That moment was powerful. It was not a big success, but it was a clear sign. A sign that something inside my brain was changing. From that day, my confidence started growing. Not fast, but steadily. I started trusting the process. I stopped worrying about quick results. I stopped asking, when will I become fluent? Instead, I focused on one thing. Today's 30 minutes. Another important change happened. My relationship with English became calm. Before, English felt like pressure, like something I must fight with. But now it felt like a daily activity, like something normal, something simple. And this is very important for beginners. When English feels normal, learning becomes easier. When English feels like a problem, learning becomes difficult. Let me tell you something very clearly. The power of this habit is not in one day. It is in repetition. When you repeat something every day, your brain takes it seriously. It starts building connections. It starts storing information. Many learners study for hours one day and then stop for 3 days. This breaks the learning process. But when you study a little every day, your brain stays connected. It does not forget easily. Another thing I learned during this time was patience. In the beginning, I wanted fast results. I wanted to see big improvement quickly. But this habit taught me something different. Real learning takes time. It grows slowly, like a plant. If you check a plant every hour, you will not see growth. But if you give it water every day, after some time it becomes strong. Learning English works the same way. I also stopped trying to understand everything. This was a big change. Before, if I did not understand a word, I stopped. I felt frustrated. But now I focused on the main idea. If I understood the message, I continued. This made reading faster and more enjoyable. Enjoyment is very important. When you enjoy something, you continue. When you continue, you improve. So, in this chapter, I want you to understand one key idea. You do not need a complicated plan to improve your English. You do not need to study for many hours. You only need one simple habit. Spend a little time with English every day. It may feel small, it may feel slow, but if you stay consistent, it becomes powerful. Very powerful. In the next chapter, I will show you exactly what I read and how I chose the right material. Because this is where many learners make mistakes. And when you fix this, your progress becomes faster and more enjoyable. Chapter 3. Now that you understand how one simple daily habit started changing everything, there is one very important question. What should you actually read? This is where many learners make a big mistake. And this mistake can destroy motivation very quickly. I also made this mistake in the beginning, and I want to save you from it. When I first started my reading habit, I thought I should read difficult books. I believed that hard English means fast improvement. So one day, I opened a difficult article. The sentences were long. The words were new. Every line had something I did not understand. I stopped again and again. I checked meanings again and again. After just a few minutes, I felt tired. I felt bored. I felt like giving up. That day, I learned a very important lesson. Difficult content does not make you stronger. It makes you slower. It breaks your confidence. It kills your interest. And when interest is gone, learning also stops. So I changed my approach. I decided to choose something very simple, something that I can understand without stress, something that feels easy, maybe even too easy. At first, this felt strange. I thought, am I learning anything from this? but I trusted the process. I started reading short and simple stories, small paragraphs, easy sentences, and something surprising happened. I started enjoying reading. I did not feel pressure. I did not feel tired. I could continue without stopping too much. And this changed everything. Enjoyment is very powerful. When you enjoy something, you stay longer. When you stay longer, you learn more. Let me explain this clearly. When you read something easy, your brain relaxes. It does not feel danger. It does not feel pressure. It starts understanding naturally. But when you read something difficult, your brain feels stress. It tries too hard. And when it tries too hard, it gets tired. This is why choosing the right level is very important. You do not need perfect understanding, but you should understand most of the text. If you understand around 70 to 80%, that is enough. That is the perfect zone for learning. Now let me share something very important about new words. In the beginning, I used to stop for every new word. I wanted to understand everything. I wanted to be perfect. But this made reading slow and frustrating. Then I changed one small habit. When I saw a new word, I asked myself one question. Is this word important to understand the main idea? If yes, I checked the meaning quickly and continued. If not, I ignored it and kept reading. This simple change made reading smooth. I stopped breaking my focus. I stopped turning reading into a test. And here is something interesting. When you read regularly, important words repeat. You see them again and again. And when a word repeats, your brain remembers it naturally, without force, without pressure. I remember one word I saw many times in different stories. At first, I did not remember it. But after seeing it again and again, one day I understood it without checking. That moment felt amazing. It was natural learning. This is the difference between memorizing and understanding. Memorizing is fast but temporary. Understanding is slow but strong. Another mistake I made was trying to read fast. I thought fast reading means good reading. But this is not true for beginners. Slow reading is powerful. When you read slowly, your brain has time to process. It has time to understand. It has time to learn. So I allowed myself to read slowly. Sometimes very slowly. And that was okay, because I was not racing. I was building a habit. Let me share one more important moment. One day I finished a complete short story in English. It was simple, but for me, it was a big achievement. I felt proud. I felt confident. I told myself, I can do this. This feeling is very important. Small wins create big motivation. When you feel success, even in a small way, you want to continue. So I kept choosing simple and interesting content. Stories about daily life, short conversations, easy articles, things that I could connect with, things that made me curious. Curiosity is another powerful tool. When you want to know what happens next, you keep reading. You forget that you are learning. And this is the best state for learning. I also stopped comparing my reading with others. Some people read fast. Some people read difficult books. But I focused on my level, my progress, my journey. And slowly, I started noticing changes. I was understanding faster. I was stopping less. I was enjoying more. English was no longer a heavy subject. It was becoming part of my daily life. So in this chapter, I want you to remember a few simple things. Choose easy content. Choose interesting content. Do not chase difficult words. Do not stop for everything. Focus on understanding the message. Read slowly, and most importantly, enjoy the process. Learning English is not about proving how much you know. It is about building a connection with the language. And reading is one of the best ways to build that connection. In the next chapter, I will share something that may surprise you. I will show you how my speaking started improving even when I was not speaking much. This changed everything for me, and it can change everything for you too. Chapter 4. Now I want to share something that completely changed the way I understood speaking. At the beginning of my journey, I believed one strong idea. If I want to speak English, I must speak from day one. I thought speaking practice is everything. I thought if I do not speak every day, I will never improve. Many learners think the same. Maybe you also think like this. But what I discovered later surprised me. In the previous chapters, I told you how I started reading simple English every day. At that time, I was not speaking much. In fact, I was still afraid of speaking. I still felt shy. I still felt not ready. But something interesting was happening inside me without me noticing. Every time I read a sentence, my brain was storing it. Not like memorizing, not like forcing, just quietly storing patterns. I was seeing how words connect, how sentences are formed, how ideas are expressed again and again, day after day. At first, I did not feel anything. It felt like I was only reading, nothing more. But after some time, I noticed something small. When I tried to think in English, I was not completely blank. Some words came to my mind. Some small sentences appeared. Not perfect, but something was there. This was the beginning. Let me tell you about one moment that I will never forget. One day, someone asked me a simple question in English. It was not a difficult question. But before, even simple questions made me nervous. My mind used to freeze. I used to translate in my head. I used to search for perfect words. And because of that, I could not speak. But this time, something different happened. I did not think too much. I did not translate. A simple sentence came out of my mouth. It was not perfect, but it was clear. It was natural. And most importantly, it was automatic. That moment shocked me. I asked myself, how did this happen? I am not practicing speaking much. I am only reading every day. Then how did I speak like this? The answer was simple but powerful. Reading was preparing my mind for speaking. When you read every day, your brain collects examples of real English. It learns sentence structures. It learns common expressions. It learns how ideas are connected. And when the time comes to speak, your brain uses this stored knowledge. You are not creating sentences from zero. You are using patterns you have already seen. This is why speaking becomes easier. Many beginners struggle because they try to translate from their native language. They think in one language and try to convert it into English. This process is slow and stressful. But when you read a lot, your brain starts thinking directly in English patterns. Slowly, translation becomes less necessary. Another important change I noticed was confidence. Before, I was always afraid. Afraid of making mistakes. Afraid of saying something wrong. But reading gave me small successes every day. Every time I understood a paragraph, I felt good. Every time I finished a story, I felt confident. These small wins changed how I saw myself. I stopped saying I cannot speak English. I started saying I am learning English. This change in mindset is very powerful. Because when you believe you can do something, you try more. And when you try more, you improve more. There's also something very interesting about pronunciation. Even when you read silently, your brain creates a voice, an inner voice. This voice becomes more accurate over time. When you listen to English or try to speak, this inner voice helps you. I noticed that when I started speaking, my pronunciation was not perfect, but it was better than before. Not because I practiced speaking a lot, but because I spent time with English every day. Many learners say, I know words, but I cannot speak. This is a very common problem. The reason is simple. They know words, but they do not know how to connect them. Speaking is not about words. It is about sentences. It is about flow. Reading teaches you this flow. When you read regularly, you see how sentences move, how ideas start, continue, and finish. This helps you speak more smoothly, not fast, but smoothly. I also learned that speaking does not come first. Understanding comes first. Comfort comes first. Confidence comes first. Then speaking becomes natural. This is the mistake many learners make. They force speaking too early. They push themselves before they feel ready. And this creates fear. It creates frustration. But when you prepare your mind first, speaking becomes easier. It becomes more natural. It becomes less stressful. I am not saying do not speak. Speaking is important. But speaking becomes powerful when your mind is ready. And reading is one of the best ways to prepare your mind. Let me share one more moment. After some weeks of daily reading, I tried to speak again. This time, I spoke more. Still simple, still not perfect, but I did not stop too much. Words were coming. Ideas were coming. And I felt something new. I felt comfortable. That feeling is everything. So in this chapter, I want you to remember one important idea. You are not wasting time when you read. You are building your speaking ability quietly. Every sentence you read is helping your future speaking. Trust this process. Do not rush. Do not force. Prepare your mind, and when the time comes, speaking will come naturally. In the next chapter, I will talk about something that scares many learners: grammar. But I will show you a different way to look at grammar. A simple way, a natural way. And this can remove your fear completely. Chapter 5. Now I want to talk about something that almost every English learner fears: grammar. Just hearing this word makes many people feel nervous. Maybe you also feel the same. When I started learning English, grammar was my biggest problem. I thought grammar is everything. I believed that without perfect grammar, I cannot speak good English. Because of this belief, I spent a lot of time studying rules. Long rules, confusing rules, rules with many exceptions. At the beginning, I tried very hard. I opened grammar books. I read explanations again and again. I tried to remember every rule. I solved exercises. I checked my answers. Sometimes I was correct. Sometimes I was wrong. But even when I was correct, something was missing. I could solve questions, but I could not speak naturally. I could recognize the rule, but I could not use it easily in real life. This created a strange situation. I knew grammar, but I could not use grammar. I had knowledge, but I did not have confidence. And slowly, grammar became a burden. It stopped helping me and started blocking me. I remember one moment very clearly. I was trying to speak a simple sentence. But before speaking, my mind became full of questions. Which tense should I use? Is this verb correct? Is this sentence structure right? Because of all this thinking, I became slow. I lost my flow. And finally, I said nothing. That moment taught me something very important. Too much focus on grammar can stop communication. Then slowly, something started changing. Not because I found a new grammar book, but because of my reading habit. Every day, I was reading simple English, stories, small texts, easy sentences. And without realizing it, I was seeing correct grammar again and again. At first, I did not notice it. I was just reading for understanding. But after some time, my brain started recognizing patterns. I started feeling what sounds right and what sounds wrong, not because I remembered a rule, but because I had seen it many times. This was a new experience for me. Before, I was trying to learn grammar from rules. Now I was learning grammar from real sentences. Let me give you a simple example. Earlier, I used to think before saying a sentence. I used to check the tense in my mind. But after reading regularly, I noticed that some sentences came automatically. I did not think about rules. I just said them. And surprisingly, many of them were correct. This was the power of natural learning. When you read every day, you see thousands of correct sentences. These sentences act like silent teachers. They show you how English works. They show you how verbs change. They show you how questions are formed. They show you how ideas are connected. And the best part is this. This learning is stress-free. You are not forcing your brain. You are not memorizing difficult rules. You are simply exposing your brain to correct English again and again. Many learners think grammar means perfection, but this is not true. Grammar is not about being perfect. Grammar is about being clear. It is about expressing your idea in a way that others can understand. When I understood this, my fear of grammar became smaller. I stopped trying to be perfect. I focused on being clear. Another important thing I learned was this: you do not need to know every grammar rule to speak good English. Many native speakers do not know grammar rules deeply, but they speak correctly. Why? Because they have strong exposure. They have seen and heard correct English many times. Reading gives you the same advantage. I also noticed something interesting. When I saw incorrect sentences, they started feeling strange. My brain was saying, "This does not look right." Even if I could not explain the rule, I could feel the mistake. This feeling is very powerful. It helps you improve naturally. But I want to be honest with you. This process is slow. It does not give instant results. In the beginning, you may feel like nothing is changing. But if you stay consistent, the improvement becomes visible. I remember one day I was speaking with someone, and after the conversation, I realized something. I spoke many sentences without stopping. I did not think too much about grammar. I was focused on the message, and my sentences were clearer than before. That moment gave me confidence. It showed me that natural learning works. This does not mean you should never study grammar. Grammar study can help, especially for exams or writing. But for beginners, grammar should not be the main focus. It should not be the first step. The first step should be exposure, reading, listening, understanding. Grammar rules become easier when your brain is already familiar with the language. When you see a rule after reading many examples, it makes sense quickly. But when you try to learn rules without exposure, it feels confusing. So in this chapter, I want you to remember one important idea. Grammar is not your enemy. Grammar is your helper. But you do not need to chase it. You do not need to fear it. Let grammar come to you naturally through reading. Trust the process. Be patient. Keep reading every day. And slowly, your grammar will improve without stress, without fear, and without confusion. In the next chapter, I will talk about the most important part of this journey: how to stay consistent, how to build a daily habit. Because without consistency, even the best method does not work. And once you understand this, your progress becomes unstoppable. Chapter 6. Now we come to the most important part of this journey. Not grammar, not vocabulary, not speaking. The most important part is consistency. Because without consistency, nothing works. You can have the best method, you can have the best resources. But if you are not regular, your progress will always stop and start again. I learned this lesson in a very real way. In the beginning, I was not consistent. Some days I studied for hours. I felt motivated. I felt excited. I told myself, now I will improve fast. But the next day, I felt tired. I skipped learning. Then one day became 2 days. 2 days became a week. And when I came back, I felt like I was starting again from zero. This cycle was very frustrating. Start, stop, start, stop. No real progress, no real confidence. Then I understood something very simple but very powerful. It is better to study a little every day than to study a lot sometimes. This idea changed everything. I decided to follow one rule. Just 30 minutes every day, not more, not less. Just 30 minutes. Even if I feel tired, even if I feel busy, even if I do not feel motivated. At first, it was not easy. Some days I did not feel like reading. My mind said, skip today. You can do it tomorrow. But I learned something important. If you skip one day, it becomes easier to skip the next day. So I made a promise to myself. No 0 days. Even if I read slowly, even if I do not understand much, I will sit and read. This small promise made a big difference. After a few days, something interesting happened. Reading started feeling normal. It was not a task anymore. It became part of my routine, like eating, like sleeping, something I do without thinking too much. This is the power of habit. When something becomes a habit, you do not need motivation. You do not wait for the perfect mood. You just do it. I also learned the importance of time. Not the perfect time, but a fixed time. I tried reading at different times, morning, afternoon, night. Then I found a time that worked best for me. A time when I feel calm. A time when I can focus. This helped me stay regular because my brain started expecting that moment. It became automatic. Another thing that helped me was keeping things simple. I did not create a complicated plan. I did not change my method every week. I followed the same simple process. Read something easy. Understand the message. Continue. Many learners make this mistake. They try a new method every few days. They jump from one idea to another. This breaks consistency because every time you change your method, you start again. So I stayed with one method. Simple reading. Every day. I also made my environment comfortable. I did not sit in a stressful place. I chose a quiet and relaxed space. Sometimes I read on a chair. Sometimes on my bed. Sometimes even outside. The place does not matter. Your comfort matters. Because when you feel comfortable, you stay longer. And when you stay longer, you learn more. Let me share one very important moment. After a few weeks of daily reading, I missed one day, just one day. And something strange happened. I felt incomplete. I felt like something was missing. That feeling surprised me. Before, I used to skip many days without thinking. But now, missing one day felt different. This is when I realized that reading had become part of my identity. I was no longer someone who is trying to learn English. I was someone who reads English every day. This change is very powerful. When your identity changes, your actions become natural. You do not force yourself. You simply follow who you are. I also learned to be patient. This is very important. Many learners want fast results. They want to see big changes in a few days. But real learning does not work like this. Some days you will feel progress. Some days you will feel nothing. Both are normal. Progress is not always visible, but it is always happening if you stay consistent. Think about this. 30 minutes a day is not a lot, but in 1 week, it becomes more than 3 hours. In 1 month, it becomes many hours. In 1 year, it becomes a strong foundation. This is how small actions create big results. I also started connecting reading with small speaking and writing. Sometimes after reading, I tried to say a few sentences about what I read. Sometimes I wrote a few simple lines. Not perfect, just simple. This helped me use what I was learning, but I never made it heavy. I kept it simple, because simplicity is the key to consistency. So in this final chapter, I want you to remember one thing. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to be fast. You only need to be regular, 30 minutes every day. That is enough to change your English. Start small, stay simple, stay consistent, and slowly, without stress, without fear, without pressure, your English will improve. Your confidence will grow. And one day, you will look back and realize how far you have come. This is not a quick journey. This is a real journey, a journey that works. Now it is your turn. Start today, not tomorrow, not next week, today. Even if it is just a few minutes, sit down, open something simple, and begin. Because small steps, taken every day, create big changes over time.